Hi, this is Elwin Robinson, founder of High Energy Academy, and very excited today to be talking to Hadeel Kadi. Hadeel is one of my high energy coaches, and she specializes in, I don't know if I should say that's not right, sorry, do it again. High energy is a high energy coach, that's more like it.
Okay.
I haven't said it for anyone else, so I'm like, you belong to me, but the others don't, so that's not right. So silly. Okay, start again. You are a high energy coach in your own right, God damn it.
Okay. All right, go for it, Elwin.
Hi, this is Elwin Robinson, founder of High Energy Academy, and very excited today to be joined by Hadeel Kadi. And Hadeel is a high energy coach, and she specializes in helping women with hormonal challenges. So I'm very excited to be able to interview her today and find out about an area where obviously I haven't had any major successful breakthroughs in, being that I'm not a woman. So very excited to have you with us today. Thank you so much, Hadeel, for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
And so I know you've got some really great advice that you were kind of sharing with me in the pre-interview for women who do have those kind of hormonal challenges, and I think it's awesome. And I really see that it makes a lot of sense, and it's fantastic. But before we get into that, I would just love to hear a little bit about what led you to focus on getting high energy? What led you to focus on, becoming an expert in hormones, and what led you ultimately to wanting to help other people with this?
All right. So, as a teenager, when I started menstruating, it was such a bad experience for me. And throughout my teenage years and right way into my 20s, I was always struggling with period pain, heavy bleeding, irregular periods, something a lot of women suffer with, but they are hardly ever acknowledged. Like, this is not an illness, this is just something you have to live with. And for me, it was quite debilitating because I would skip a day or two of school, I would skip a day or two of work, and basically the quality of my life wasn't that great. So during that time, towards my early 20s, I became vegetarian, and hoping that things would improve. And they did improve slightly, except I fell into the trap of eating lots of pastas and breads. Even though I wasn't into junk food, I was eating a lot of whole stuff, but still I was eating a lot of wheat, a lot of dairy, especially cheese. Um, and as I grew up, I started reading more and getting interested more because I was still living with a lot of pain and actually suffering. And and I realized that what I had was kind of a hidden epidemic that a lot of women suffer from, and it's called endometriosis. This is something that like 100 million women around the world suffer from, but they're not diagnosed, or they're underdiagnosed, and they're told to just live with it or just take painkillers, which I did for a long time. Some of the stuff that this could develop into infertility problems, ovarian cysts, all sorts of problems. And for me, it manifested itself with a premature baby, and that was my first child. It was a part of that problem, which nobody ever diagnosed me for or even acknowledged that it's a problem, even though it was for me. So that pushed me in that direction of finding out more, wanting to read more about this problem, wanting to help others. I started eating more raw food 2 years ago, introducing more fruits and vegetables, fermented food into my diet. I started looking at taking out wheat out of my diet. It made a big difference to me.
And was that difficult? Because a lot of people, I think, they well, from a certain perspective, to say, bread and wheat are highly addictive, right? And pasta and pizza and stuff like
They
that.
are.
Did you find it difficult?
For me, yeah, for me it was an irritant to my gut. Basically, I would be bloated. I would feel um, gassy and stuff like that. So I think when I took wheat and dairy out for a while, I could see a huge difference. And then I reintroduced very slowly, like it's having a really nice friend who you like, but you can't see them on daily basis because it's too much. So you just see them from time to time.
Okay.
So that's the sort of thing. It made a big difference to me, and today I can say that after having two children, hopefully thankfully my second child was born on term, and it was a natural birth.
Right.
Today my period is unpainful, and it's how it should be for all women. It shouldn't be something that you despise and don't look forward to. It should be just something that is part of who you are as a female.
Yeah. Now, you've talked about this pain and discomfort, which I'm sure must be, bad enough, especially when you're told there's nothing that can be done about it. But what led you to be interested in helping people with high energy as well? Like, did you find that during, various parts of your cycle, you also felt kind of depleted, or that your energy was up and down, or?
Yeah, I mean, with the hormones, basically, what I went through is basically one of the symptoms of estrogen dominance, which a lot of people suffer from. And estrogen is one hormone among others in your body. They all play together like an orchestra, and if one is dominant, the music that comes out is going to be less than perfect. So, so the idea here, once there is this kind of imbalance, your other hormones suffer. Mm-hmm. So yes, my thyroid function wasn't that good, so I was fatigued a lot of the time. I didn't have a lot of energy. Literally, I was bedridden the first 2 days, at least 2 days of every month. Wow. So that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yes.
So would you find that then some days of the month you were good and you were energized and you were just fine, but then the other days you couldn't even get out of bed? Is that much of a difference?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And yeah.
Wow.
And I also suffered from acne related to my period. So when I'm ovulating, my face starts to pop. That's another thing.
And so it looks like all of that stuff has got better now. Basically, well, the acne, yes. Certainly you can see that there's no acne there. I'm pretty sure. Yes. So that's gone.
Yes, I've seen major improvement. To be honest, it's been like night and day for me, and I want to share that with everybody. And of course, as a wonderful side effect of balancing your hormones, you shed weight, your skin glows, your energy is better. So it's fantastic on all levels.
Now, one of the things I hear a lot from people who have challenges with hormonal issues is that their blood sugar also goes out of balance, right? And then they maybe have cravings to eat all the time, or their mood is kind of up and down all the time. And 1 minute they're great, and next minute they feel depressed. Maybe did you have any of those kind of challenges as well?
Oh my God, I'm a grazer. I'm a snacker. Like I struggled with that a lot. I could not shed the baby weight for many years because I'm just I couldn't keep my blood sugar balanced. I'm constantly snacking, and so yeah, I did struggle with that. Now I can safely say that I can easily go without snacking between my meals, which is such a fantastic feeling. It's really great.
Awesome, fantastic. And Hadeel's using the present tense like I am a grazer, but presumably that's
I was.
Yeah, just checking. Okay.
I was a grazer.
Fantastic. Wow. Okay, so I could ask you more, but I think, probably everyone who's watching this right now who relates to where you're coming from really just wants to know, okay, well, what do I do about this, Hadeel? And now I know that you said that really a lot of the advice in High Energy Academy made a big difference for you, but I think you also have some of your own like additional stuff to share that you'd like to share for people, for women who are suffering with this particular challenge. So I'd love it if you could share some of your top tips or the things that you think are most important to focus on.
Yes, the one thing that tops my list, and I find it made a big difference to me, is taking out all the bad estrogens out of your environment. Xenoestrogens, all the chemicals in the like the personal care products, the oral health products. I've replaced all my skincare products with natural, chemical-free stuff that I make myself. Also, my oral care is all stuff that is made at home. I make it myself. It made a big difference for me.
Now, for anyone who isn't,
Also,
sorry, but before we go
go
on,
ahead.
for anyone who isn't clear on that, like most of us think of estrogen as something that's inside our body, right, and to do with our hormonal system, or for women especially, though men have it too. But you're talking about estrogen in the environment. So could you explain that a little
Yes,
bit more?
yes. Xenoestrogens are basically chemicals in your environment that once in your body, they behave like estrogen,
Okay.
uh, creating more estrogen dominance. For instance, the pesticide on fruits and vegetables is again one of the things that could act as estrogen in your body. BPA in plastics, BCBs, all these environmental toxins, once ingested or on your skin, is absorbed by your body and behaves like estrogen in your body, creating estrogen dominance. So
Okay.
this really would help to balance out the estrogen levels in your body. So
And
yeah, go ahead.
and why is estrogen dominance a bad thing? I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but for anyone who isn't familiar with these kind of terms, what isn't estrogen a good thing for women, especially? I mean, men maybe don't want it, but
Yes. Estrogen is one of the female hormones. The other one is progesterone, and the ideal situation is where there's a balance between both of them.
okay.
Now, a lot of if one goes out of whack, then it wreaks havoc on the rest of your hormones, including your insulin, your cortisol levels, your adrenaline. All the other hormones are affected, but mostly progesterone, and everything in our environment behaves like estrogen in your body, like all these. Even like there are phytoestrogens as well. There are metalloestrogens, which are heavy metals that, again, inside our body behave like estrogen. And estrogen dominance is not a good thing because it's been linked to creating more growth in cells, leading to things like cancer, for instance, or for me, for instance, heavy bleeding during menstruation, or many other effects. There is a fine balance, and it has to be maintained.
Okay, so we're not talking about estrogen being bad. We're just saying we need a
No,
balance,
there
and
is a role
we
for
have a lot more
estrogen.
in our environment than we used to. Is that right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Our bodies are used to the phytoestrogens in plants, and they have their role in our body, and that's fine. But the xenoestrogens are even more potent than the phytoestrogens and our own estrogens. So they have twice or triple the effect of our estrogen.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I think I'm understanding that now. So we're saying that it's everywhere in our environment, but what are like your top, like your advice for the things to really watch out for, like the things to cut out or to minimize?
So basically, heavy metals, for instance, like fluoride in water, in oral care, and all that stuff. If you have mercury in your mouth, please get it out of your system.
Okay.
All these heavy metals are metalloestrogens, basically. Again, xenoestrogens, like the plastics, the ones I mentioned as well, and pesticides and stuff like that.
Okay.
And that's when it comes to reducing estrogen in your system. Another thing I'd like to recommend is removing food irritants from your diet. For me, removing wheat and dairy made a huge difference. And once I got on good terms with them, I would introduce them very rarely. Like occasionally, I would eat a slice of, I don't know. I'm not into bread anymore, but maybe like
Pizza?
I don't know, yeah, I'm not into it.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't attract me anymore. So
Mm.
I found really fantastic alternatives, which is this is what raw food can also contribute to, because the alternatives are so many. You just need to open your eyes and look for them.
Now, when you say to
So
most people to remove things like wheat and dairy, I think they tend to have like a feeling of almost terror, like if they're taking you seriously anyway, like, oh my god, but I love my bread, or I love my cake, or I love my cheese, or hot chocolate, milkshake, whatever. So, what kind of
okay,
recommendations would you give to
yeah.
someone who feels like that?
Well, for me, I introduced almond milk into my diet, which was a fantastic alternative to milk,
Okay.
which I make myself. It's so easy to make. And lots of YouTube videos showing you how to make that. I now eat a little bit of organic cheese or butter that is made from cows or goats' milk, usually grass fed. I look for quality now more than anything else.
Hmm.
So I do consume that once or twice a week for the fat soluble vitamins more than anything else. Um, for the bread, I mean, I eat more like rye or flaxseed crackers and stuff like. There's so many other alternatives, and pastas don't turn me on anymore. So I don't go
And
there.
there are other pastas, aren't there? I think there's like a rice noodles you can get, and buckwheat,
Yeah.
and so there's always
But
alternatives, right?
I also don't subscribe to the gluten-free stuff. I don't go there. I just eat grains that are naturally gluten-free, like rye, quinoa, stuff like that. Rice.
Okay, great. And what would be your next piece of advice?
One from High Energy Academy made a huge difference for me, mineralizing and
Mm,
alkalizing.
okay.
Those two were life changers for me. I realized that I was deficient in many of the minerals. Like chromium, for instance, helped me a lot with my blood sugar balance.
Mm.
Um, Alkalizing, I drink my green juice every morning. If not, then it's a green smoothie, and it's really fantastic. It's turned things around for me, definitely.
Great. Okay. Fantastic. So, green smoothies, green juices, maybe finding out what minerals you're deficient in, and making sure that you replace those. Okay. Fantastic. And there's more about that in the 12 laws video number 2 that came out a little while ago. So people can refer more to that for that. Awesome. And what else? Is there anything else that you think is really important to focus on if anyone's struggling with the same thing as you?
Yes, I also recommend people eat fermented food, whether it's like sauerkrauts or kimchi, or even drinks like kefir and what's the other one?
Kombucha.
Sure, yes, kombucha. They're fantastic for your gut, for your digestion and your gut flora. Really, really fantastic. And I also found that preparing grains correctly before consuming is a large piece. It
Mm.
makes digestion easier. It removes phytates, which are anti-nutrients. They prevent the absorption of nutrients in your gut. So removing those is essential. I mean, you could take all the minerals and vitamins you want, but if your body's not absorbing them, that's another obstacle that needs to be
I really agree with
overcome.
that. I don't like overcomplicating anything, but I always do follow that rule. Like, and can you just explain what that means? Like preparing grains for anyone who hasn't heard of them. What do they need to do?
Absolutely. So all grains need to be whole grains. All grains need to be soaked
Okay.
very well, changing your water every 2 or 3 hours. I also keep one small glass of the soaking water for the next time I do the soaking, because it helps to remove even more phytic acid and phytates from the grains. This is essential for me. It makes a huge difference. Otherwise, I'd be bloated.
Okay.
Even if I'm eating meat, if I'm eating whole wheat, like we cook it like rice, I do the same, and it makes a huge difference.
Okay. So simply just soaking and rinsing grains rather than just eating them as
Yes.
is. Okay.
Yes, and also like you could sprout them and then cook them. That's also a good way. Some of my grains sprout as I cook them, which is really nice. I also eat more seeds, and that really helps. Less legumes. I found that it made a huge difference, like treating my food well before I consume it.
Now I know what legumes means, but I know from experience that especially Americans don't use that word. So can you explain that one a little bit?
What do the Americans
I
use?
don't
What
know. I just have to
word?
tell them like beans, lentils, stuff like that. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
well,
yeah.
yeah, like things like lentils, chickpeas, beans in general, all these dried beans, pinto bean, kidney beans. There are loads of them.
Okay. So all of them.
Again, be
Got it.
prepared well. They need to be soaked very well. They need to be cooked well for you to absorb all the nutrients from them well.
Now, all of this, you know, to a skeptic's eye, and I'm always looking at things from multiple perspectives, including the skeptics, might sound like like a lot of making a fuss and making things unnecessarily complicated. But what and again, I do them, so I'm not like knocking what you're saying, Hadeel, but I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate. So, but from your perspective, this isn't a matter of being fussy or doing like pointless stuff. This is something that makes a huge difference. Like if you don't do it, it makes you feel bad. And if you do it, then you feel a lot better. Is that basically?
Absolutely. And some of us really live with the pain of bloating and gassiness and all that without knowing that there is another way of doing it. I mean, once I tried what it's like to eat and not feel tired or bloated, I realized I can't go back to doing it any other way, you know? It's as simple as that. Sometimes you just have to try it once to know that it's possible.
Wonderful. Okay, I love that. I'm going to let you share one more. I know you've excited. You said you had like a big list before we started. I'm like, all right, we don't want to overwhelm people, but do you have one more that you want to share with people that you think is really important?
Yes, another big one for me was knowing the difference between good fats and bad fats. We have this fat, what's the word? Phobia.
Yes.
And yes, we do. And everybody buys these fat-free things and skim this and skim that. Once I learned that some fats are really good for you and your body needs them and you need to consume them on every meal, and other man-made fats are really horrible for you and you should stay away from them, life became very simple. So on every meal, I have my carbs, protein, and fats. And this really helps with my blood sugar staying balanced. And it helps me not snack or not graze between meals. I fast between my meals without any discomfort. It's fantastic.
Now, for those
and
people
goes
who,
against,
sorry,
yeah, it goes against the general, like the recommendation that if you want to maintain a balanced sugar levels, you should you should eat every 2 hours. That didn't work for me at all. I mean, having solid meals and really have all the three components present in those solid meals made the biggest difference for me.
Okay, so balance of protein, carbohydrate, and fat in every meal. And
yes.
So that's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it? We would think that if we want to keep our blood sugar balanced, then we should eat often. But you're saying that actually your experience, and presumably your experience working with clients, is the exact opposite. Like we need to have one meal that satisfies us and then stop eating for a decent amount of time. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic.
Absolutely.
And so, what's the difference for you, like having done both methods? What's the difference? Like, because a lot of people, I think, if you tell them they need to stop eating for, I don't know, what we're talking here, 4 hours, 6 hours, more?
I go for 4 hours between my meals.
4 hours, okay, yeah.
Sometimes 3 hours if I'm having 3 meals a day, so it's 3 to 4 hours between every meal. I also don't eat up right upon waking. Like I give also myself 2 hours before I eat after waking up. So
Okay.
so between fasting all night and those hours in the morning, it's really fantastic. It's really great.
And why
I
do you,
give myself,
why would
yeah.
you say that's so beneficial for you? Like, why do you feel so much better when you do it that way?
I feel my digestive system gets a nice break,
Okay.
which is much needed. And I also it gets a chance. I give my body the chance to do other things than digesting food,
Mm.
renewing cells, really removing toxins, all sorts of other functions that your body's supposed to be doing, besides digesting and absorbing nutrients all day and eliminating, hopefully.
That's awesome. I know you could tell us a million more things, and I'm sure if you have any questions for Deal, then you are very, very welcome to leave some comments or questions up below the video, and will you be happy to check those, Hadeel, and answer any questions that come up for people?
Absolutely. It
Fa-
will be my pleasure.
Fantastic, and I'm sure if you want to find out more from Hadeel, you can contact her that way as well. So thank you so much for sharing with us. That's absolutely fantastic. Really great to open up a whole area which is super important for energy. From my perspective, definitely, but which I just don't feel like I can start, saying, "Oh, I've had great results with this," because of course I haven't. I've never had that challenge, so it's really fantastic to hear from you having had that major challenge, having completely overcome it now, and you can see it as well. In your appearance, right? Your skin is glowing and radiant and clear, and all the rest of it. It's obvious that you have that hormonal balance now that you didn't have before. So really, really lovely to hear from you, and your caring and desire to help is really really obvious. So I just want to say I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Owen. It's my pleasure.
And really hope that you enjoyed that. As we said, if you have any questions, comments for me or Hadeel, then feel free to leave them underneath. They're probably going to be for Hadeel though for this video, and Hadeel will answer them. And if you're interested in High Energy Academy, which did make a big difference in your life, right, Hadeel? This is really where you broke through with this.
Yeah.
Although there was other things you needed to add, but that was the thing that made the big difference. Then there's a link underneath that will take you straight to being able to enroll in that while it's still open, which I think this is almost at the end of our little cycle here of different interviews. So it's now or never, folks. Time to go for it if you're going to go for it. And so, yeah, thank you so much for sharing Hadeel. Thank you so much for watching. And see you inside High Energy Academy, hopefully, where Hadeel will be, I think, giving us more advice. Is that right, Hadeel?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes.